section number 3, agrarian relations and the prior lands. So first of all, the word agrarian. So if we're going to define what agrarian is, of course, uh, we may say that it is related to the land, especially the use of land for farming. So, ayan, agrarian relations. And the prior lands is about those in religious orders such as Dominican order or Dominican friars, Augustinian friars, Spanish friars, etc. Okay? But our actually main focus is those religious orders such as the Spanish friar and also the Dominican friar and Augustinian friars. So they were granted the land, okay? So during that time of Spanish colonial rule. Anyway, um, let's proceed here on the history of the prior lands. So it is said to be that during the late 16th century and 17th century, which mean it was like 1520, 1520 something, or even up until 1630 or 16 something year, okay, to make it 17th century. So during the late pala, no, not early. So it was my mistake. So during the late 16th century, it means that it was like 1570s, 1580s, 1590s, okay, late 16th century, and 17th century. So the early Spanish conquistadores arrived in the Philippines, which we are already know naman, no? And awarded land grants, awarded land grants in the form of hacienda for their loyalty to the Spanish royalty, which can be used to trace the origin of the prior estates. So first of all, we're going to be clear about the term conquistadores. So when we say conquistadores, it is the other term, or should I say, the English uh, translation for the Spanish word, if I'm not mistaken, to conqueror. So the early Spanish conqueror arrived in the Philippines. So there are colonizer, okay, of course, and awarded land grants in the form of hacienda for their loyalty to the Spanish royalty, which can be used to trace the origins of the prior estates. So in here, we can see the word hacienda. Maybe you are already aware when we say hacienda. So hacienda uh, is the large estates that were used for raising livestock and agriculture production. Okay, which mean they put, let's say for example, they put a business or even babuyan, okay, piggery, something like that when we say livestock. And also agricultural production, which is very common to a land that is really big like this, hacienda. Okay, by the way, when we say estate, so prior estate, so it talks about landed property, okay, or possession of the land, something like that, with usually a large um, house on it, something like that. Okay, when we say estate. So if you have noticed, we just hinihimay, yung bawat words para maunawaan natin. Hindi yung basta babasahin lang natin din, okay na yun. So, hindi yung pagtuturo kapag ka ganun. Hindi yung lecture kapag ka babasahin lang ng instructor yung nakalagay sa PowerPoint. Okay? Anyway, moving on. So, in here, so they were granted the Spanish conqueror, okay, the land awarded to them. So it is said to be that 120 Spaniards, grantees, were given a land called Sitio de Ganado Mayor and Caballerias. Okay? Now, if we are going to define what does it mean by Sitio de Ganado Mayor, it is a large tract of land measuring 1,742 hectares. So speaking of tract, so when we say tract, it is a defined area of the land, okay, which means there is a certain number to consider, when giving that particular land, okay, so in terms of the measurement, of course. Now, a large tract of land measuring 1,742 hectares for a sitio de ganado mayor. So anyway, I just want you to understand each of the words we're talking about. Okay, let's say for example, hectares. So in measurement, so from what I remember, it is about 10,000 meter is equivalent to 1 hectare. Okay, so 10,000 meters is equivalent to 1 hectare. Can you imagine? This is 1,742 hectares. Okay? So, very big. It's like a village talaga. Buong city or village. Okay? Something like that. A village na masasabi natin. So, malaking village. Hindi lang, it's not just a small village, but a really big village. That's how it looks like. Or a town. Okay? So, parang ganun. So, in terms of the area. Now, okay. Para detalyado tayo, no? So, if you buy a measuring tape which uh, have a length of about 100, if I'm not mistaken, 160, ano ba yan? 160 centimeters, something like that. Ano? So, anyway, bakit ba tayo pala napadakot? Hindi, gusto ko lang kasi ma-approximate, no, yung bawat measurement, na sinasabi natin. Sige, ito na lang, i-picture nyo na lang in your mind or just imagine this. So, 100 square meter. Okay, meron tayong tinatawag ng mga square meter. By the way, when we say square meter, it is literally square meter. Ibig sabihin, it should have an equal side in terms of width and in terms of height. Okay, to make it square. So in this case, let's say for example, if we have a square meter, 1 square meter, of course it is proportional in terms of the length, okay, and the height. So 1 meter is 1 square meter. So may napanood ako sa YouTube, So ano daw, what it look like when we have 100 square meter house. So nakita ko ang laki pala pagka ganun, So it's a big house. Okay? 100 square meter. It's like three families kayang tumira doon, doon sa 100 square meter na house. Something like that, So, bakit ba natin sinasabi yung mga ganun? Yung mga conversion, yung mga approximate of the measurement. The thing is, for you to be able to have a clear picture in your mind what it look like dun sa mga hectares, ganon, okay, and other stuff. Okay, about the measurement of the property. Okay? Now, Caballerias, a smaller tract of land measuring 42.5. Okay? So, ganon. And anyway, I think let's proceed to the next. So now that we are done with first part, which is the history of the prior land, I think we have to we have to proceed to the next. We have to proceed to the next. But before that, hindi, sige, proceed to the next na nga, So, three reasons why Spanish hacienderos failed to develop their lands. So, they are now called Spanish hacienderos because they acquire hacienda. So, therefore, they are called as hacienderos. The thing is, since they were granted a a vast amount of area of land, such as the city of Ganado Mayor and Caballeria, but they failed to develop their land. So, what are those reasons of that? So, first is the Spanish population in the Philippines was transient. From the word itself, transient, I think it is comes from the root word transfer, or can be, that you are not temporary there, something like that. We now know, or I mean, we already know that the Spanish here in the Philippines during the Spanish colonial rule were not permanent to colonize us, of course. So that's the idea. So um, it was a common practice for Spanish administrators to return to Spain after having served in the country. Okay, they must do it. So after having influence in terms of economic, in terms of religion, etc. No? So let's say for example, religion, yung Catholicism. So yung pagkalat nun, umaga na, di ba? That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, the Spanish friars were able to acquire land through whatever means available to them. Okay? So, ayan. So, the next one on the reason why Spanish hacienderos failed to develop their land is the market for livestock product. Okay? So, livestock product, which hacienda offered, remained relatively small until the latter part of the Spanish colonial period. So, we already know that when we say livestock, it talks about the, let's say for example, um, animals that are kept, or poultry or piggery, something like that. Animals are kept or raised for that use, livestock. Okay, so in the purpose of maintaining the business in that particular area or territory, something like that. The thing is, the market for livestock product which Hacienda offered remained relatively small until the latter part of the Spanish colonial period. But it was not sufficient, okay, for that matter, for livestock product, yung hacienda. So, something like that. So, from what I know, so, kasi siya, more on agricultural production, something like that. So, aside from that, the third reason why Spanish hacienderos failed to develop their lands is the galleon trade in Manila. So, what is galleon trade? So, from what I remember, okay, it was a trade between Mexico and China. Of course, it goes through the country of ours, which is the Philippines, and other country. And we are also trading, in terms of the, let's say, for example, porcelain, ivory, and other, let's say, for example, other objects that we have in the Philippines, like cotton, what else? And in return, it was traded in, let's say, for example, dumaan siya sa Amerika. So, we traded, ano ba yung mga, yung mais, okay, yung mga cacao, alright, something like that, So, kumbaga nagkaroon tayo ng ganong product, nagkaroon tayo ng ganong parang mga, um, prutas or what, and other na magagamit natin, because of that galleon trading, So, yeah, the galleon trade, yan ay para bang malawakang trading, okay, sa iba't ibang bansa, So, ayan, para bang idea is globalization. So, the galleon trade in Manila offered a bigger economic rewards and attracted more Spaniards. So, the Spanish hacienderos lacked the interest and inclination to develop their own lands. Eventually, the religious order soon took over the task. Okay, so we're going to make it clear, so about this matter. So, okay, I think narito yata yan, So, sige. Pero bago pala yan, sige. Balikan pala muna natin ito, So, yun na nga, 3 reasons why Spanish hacienderos failed to develop their lands. So, kaya nangyari, yung land na tinutukoy natin diyan, ay napalipat, dun sa mga friars. Like, for example, Dominican friars, Augustinian friars, okay, syempre Spanish friars, mga ganon. So, ayun, that's the idea. So, mamaya, lilinawan pa natin, baka kasi medyo naguguluhan tayo sa ilang mga explanation natin nabanggit. So, I think, meron pa ba kaya akong nakakalimutan, I think wala na naman siguro, So, the acquisition, of the land by the religious orders. So, yan na ngayon papasok yung sinasabi natin dyan. So, kung babasahin natin itong nasa bottom part, during Spanish rule, vast tracts, okay, of lands were granted to religious orders like the Dominican, okay, Augustinians, okay, making them major landowners. Okay? So, ayan. Ang nangyari kasi dyan is, sa aking pagkakapakinig ng mga ganyang usap, um, well, hawak nga siya ng priors yung mga land, na malaki ang land, diba, dito sa Pilipinas, during that time. So, pero kalaunan, nung 1903 yata, or 1902, something like that, So, para bang binawi, ng mga sa atin mismo, siyempre, nakamit kasi natin ng kalayaan ng bansa. Okay, yung mga ganyang usapin, Yung mga hacienda, okay, mula sa priors. Okay, something like that. Kaya pag-aari yan ng ating gobyerno na ngayon sa Philippines. So, anyway, yun na nga, nasabi na nga natin, itong mga kanina, the Spanish friars were able to acquire land through whatever means available to them. Okay? So, ayun. So, according to sources, lands were donated to the friars, okay, in exchange for spiritual favor. So, donate yung land, okay, to the friar in exchange for spiritual favors. Let's say, for example, pagkalat nga ng mga religion or pag-convert to Catholicism or other religion, kung ano man siya, pagbibinyag. So, in that way, they were granted a vast area of land, something like that, That's the idea. So, according to sources, yon, lands were donated to the friars in exchange for spiritual favors. Anyway, records, okay. Ito na nga, same idea pala na nakalagay dito. Records reveal that a number of Filipino principales have also contributed to the formation of the friar estates through donation and sale. So, there is what we call mga bidding, mga ganun. Sige, go ahead. Tayo dun sa nag-resend. Is there any concern on something or you want to add something? So, meron ba? Bakit ka nag-resend? Go ahead. Go ahead. Or napindot lang or what? um, or baka napindot lang niya, Okay, anyway. Nasa na ba ako? Records reveal that a number of Filipino principales So when we say principales, so elite people, which mean they are those people or individuals who have high in terms of social class or upper class sila, no? Mga ganon. So they are very rich people or rich people in the country. So in this case, of course, Filipino principales, okay, so that's what we're talking about. So anyway, they have also nga, no, or have also contributed to the formation of the prior estates through donation and sales. Like what I said before, so merong actually may mga bidding yan eh. Okay, may nabasa ako na parang bidding ng mga lupa during that time, ano. So, yung mga ganun. Ano? Pero hindi natin nakuhanan ng iba pang detalye. Pero the idea is may mga bidding eh. Okay, ng mga pag-aangkin ng lupa ng mga mayayaman dati. Okay, something like that. So, anyway, many Filipinos believe that the priors had no titles to the lands they owned because they acquired them through uh, usurpation. Di ko alam, or usurpation. Di ko alam ang tamang pronunciation. Usurpation and other dubious means. So, what does it mean? Ito kasi, since naipasa na, okay, ganito yan yung sequence natin. Di ba sabi natin kanina dito, Spanish hacienderos, yung mga nabigyan ng mga hacienda, failed to develop their land. Ngayon, nakalagay dito, the religious orders soon took over the task. And, dyan na ngayon papasok yung mga Dominican friars, Augustinian friars, Spanish friars. Okay, yung mga praile, yung mga religious order. So, sila na ngayon yung may hawak na mga malalakihang uh, lupain. Nung natapos yung then, okay, or patapos na yung colonial period din during that time. If I'm not mistaken, kung tama yung pagkakarecall ko. But the thing is, basta, ang idea is sa kanila, napapasa. Okay, parang ganon, no? Sila yung may nag-aangkin ng malaki lupain, no? In terms of that. Now, um, in here, many Filipinos believe that the priors had no titles. So, kumbaga forcefully nila, no, na inangkin yung lupain. Okay, when we say usurpation, di ko lang kung nakalagay. No? Pero pagkakatanda ko, no, medyo bago kasi itong term usurpation. Usurpation is to hold powers in position or possession by force or without right. So you have to use coercive power, in order to gain something. Okay, you as having the power in terms of influence, but you have no rights to do it. So, which means it is not legal for you to get that, get that property or possession. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So in this case, the religious order, okay, many people believe that the priors, which is the religious order, had no titles to the lands they owned because they acquired them through usurpation and other dubious means. Alright? Next. By the way, if you have any question siguro na lang, sa chat box na lang para hindi tayo mawala yung momentum ng sinasabi ko, Medyo na-distract kasi ako kanina doon sa nag-raise ulit. Okay, anyway. Ayan, then later on, sasagutin ko yan sa last part. Kung meron man, Okay, kung wala, okay rin naman. So next, the preoccupation in the estates was buried during the early centuries of Spanish colonial rule. So nakalagay dyan, the preoccupation in the estates was buried. Which mean, in terms of the distribution, it is different. Okay? So, from the other one, something like that. During the early century of the Spanish colonial rule. So the estates primarily serve as cattle ranches as well as farm of subsistence crops. Okay, yun yung mga lupain na sinasabi natin yan. Now, the social structure found in the hacienda was primarily composed of lay brother, administrators at the top, and cultivating tenants below. So, yun ang sinasabi natin na sa yung mga talagang naghahawak na dyan, yung mga religious order. Okay? During the Spanish colonial rule, vast tracts of land were granted to religious orders like the Dominicans and Augustinians, making them major landowners. Take note of that. Making them major landowners. Ayan. Actually, mahabang usap yan eh. Yung mga ganyang Dominican prior Augustinian. Okay, hindi pa lang natin masyadong na-research ng malalim yan about ganyan. At least, nabigyan kayo ng pakapyang na idea. Okay? So, by the way, syempre itong mga Dominican, galing sa ibang bansa to, hindi siya galing Spain, ano? Basta ibang part ng bansa. Then, Augustinian, ganun din. Ano? So, something like that. So, nagpupunta-punta sila sa ibang bansa, no? Something like that. Para mapakalat yung religion din and also may makuha na something, ano? Hindi ko alam, mga ganun. So, biruin mo yun. Nasa religious order ka or sabihin na natin religious position but you are applying politics in religious order, something like that. Parang ang sama namang tingnan nun. So anyway, ganun kasi dati, diba? Anyway, next, the lands referred to were the unassigned villages or lands belonging to the governments. Ano pa? Okay. Were pertaining to prior lands. Okay? The lands referred to were the unassigned villages or lands belonging to the governments, land which had been usurped or usurped by the religious order. Okay? So, ayan. Yun yung prior land na sinasabi natin kanina. Okay, when the export of agricultural crops started to blossom in the 18th century, okay, the inquilinato system was put into place. Okay, inquilinato system. So in this system, okay, one who rented land for a fixed annual amount, an inquilino was expected to give personal services to the landlord. Okay? So, but, sige, bigyan natin ng konti pa, no? Na details. Now, we're talking about inquilino who rented land, okay, for the landlords. So, the thing is, if he or she failed to do so, okay, so which is expected for him or her to give personal services to the landlords, right? If he or she failed to do so, he or she would be expelled from the land. Alright? So the inquilinos could also lease the land they were renting from the landlord to a kasama or sharecropper who would then be responsible for cultivating the land. Okay? So now, linawin muna natin. Sige, himayin natin. Gusto ko hinihimay yung bawat words. So una sa lahat, first of all, so the word lease. So when we say lease, okay, lease. So in here, L-E-A-S-E, lease. So it means a contract by which one conveys real estate for a specified term and for a specified rent. So, meron kayong nakikita, no? Halimbawa, sa nadadaanan nyo, paglabas nyo ng bahay, or ng malayo, nakalagay doon, apartment for lease. Okay? Or, in other word, for rent. Pagka boarding house, typically, we could say, um, ano ba yun? For rent, ano, mga ganun. Room for rent, okay? Which mean for a particular, or for an individual lang, alright? Or for just a few individual lang yung sinasabi doon, ano? Yung mga ganun, yung room for rent. But if we're talking about apartment for lease, pag may nakikita natin doon, hindi malaki ano yun. Halimbawa, let's say, buong pamilya or kahit hindi lang pamilya, no? Basta madamihan na yan. Okay? So, the thing is, yun nga, lease, which mean a contract. Let's say, how many years you would like to rent or stay on that place, you know? So, that's what lease comes in. Okay, the idea of lease. So, we're talking about real estate, you know? So, by which one conveys real estate for a specified term. Okay, di ba? Pagka naupa ka, merong mga specified term. Let's say, for example, actually, ano, personally ako, kami, pamilya, nag-separate ng bahay. Kasi yung kapatid ko, kinasal, ano? So, my brother were kinasal, ano? Okay? So, we're married. Okay, last, months ago. And we decided as family to separate, of course, kasi sama-sama eh. So, of course, we have to transfer to other places, ano? So, edi nagrenta ng bahay, ano? Yung mga ganun. So, and then, that is the time na medyo namulat ako, okay, personally, in terms of, ng mga term, like, dapat pala 1 year pala muna. Ayun yung parang, ano ba yung condition, yung term, first term na titira ka sa ganong lugar. Then, after 1 year, so you have the choice if you want to uh, leave, or should I say, cancel your renting on that place, something like that. After 1 year, parang it's like 1 year contract, something like that, But, of course, so it depends sa bayad pa rin naman eh. Hindi kapag hindi ka napagbayad next month, edi kahit wala sa contract, edi alisin ka na. Parang ganun. Ibig sabihin lang kasi, may mga contract, it's like yung parang i-renew mo siya dahil nakitang taong ka na for that uh, bahay. Bahay kasi yon, hindi lang basta room eh. Siyempre. So kayo, I know that some of you are renting, a boarding house. So, near the campus. So, syempre, mga isang room lang yan, mga ganun. At may kasama kayo na friends nyo or even classmate nyo, sometimes ganun eh. Okay, in boarding house. So, ibang usap yan, room-room lang yan, hindi buong bahay talaga. Sabagay, masasabi natin bahay, pero in terms of yung pagbabayad mo kasi is, as individual. Yan ang sinasabi ko. Anyway, bakit ba tayo, bakit ba tayo napapalaya? Pero pinag-usapan kasi natin lease eh. Yung kontrata, yung mga ganun. Okay? So now, I think, let's go back here. Inquilino. So, during that time, we have that system, what we call inquilinato system. So, what does it mean by inquilinato system? So, I think it is a system in which, of course, we have three classification. Okay, in terms of uh, possessing the land. Okay, something like that, So, may mga category. So, first, okay, sige, basahin ko muna pala, no? The inquilinato system functioned as a three-layered system with the landlords, okay, on top, or yung may-ari ng bahay. May titulo ng bahay. Okay? So, yung may full rights owner of that house. So, that is the first one, the landlords. And the inquilinos in the middle. And the kasamas at the bottom. So, we have three classification on that system, inquilinato. So, okay, just to be clear, so landlord, given na yan, may-ari, So, owner ng lupain, So, whereas, when we say inquilinos, on the other hand, they are those tenant, okay, who rented land from the priors. So what we're talking about the landlord here is the priors, you know. So inquilinos, a tenant who rented land from the priors and sublease sublease the land to sharecroppers or what is known as kasama or kasamas. So, kumbaga, atin mo nang linawin, ano? Gusto ko malinaw talaga ang bawat concept na binibitaw natin dito. So, a tenant, okay, naninirahan, di ba? Who rented land from the priors, dun sa landlord. And sublease. So, kapag sinabi natin sublease, di ba, inano natin yung lease, ano? Yung may kontrata, no? Okay, dun sa specified term dun sa lupain yon. So ngayon, nakalagay sublease. So what does it mean by sublease? So a lease by a tenant or a dweller, or lesser of part or all of leased premises to another person, but with the original tenant retaining some rights or interest under the original lease. So, baka kayo nalilito. Ganito yan. To put it simply, so in Tagalog, I'm going to explain it in Tagalog clearly kasi parang medyo hirap ako pagka in-explain ko yung concept in English ng magandang word eh. So, halimbawa, ikaw yung landlord. Okay, landlord ka, ha? Ikaw yung may-ari ng bahay. For example, you are the owner of the house. Okay? Or the land. So, we're talking about pala dito land. Sorry. We're talking about agrarian, not just a simple house. But, I'm just illustrating in terms of, for you to understand the concept of that. Let's say, for example, you are the owner of a big land. Okay? So landlord, you are the landlord. So you have the ano ba 'yon? Yung parang yung katunayan, ano? Okay? Medyo na may mental block ako. Yung katunayan na may landowner ka nun, something like that. Okay? So anyway, ngayon pinagkatiwala mo siya doon sa tinatawag nating inquilinos. Okay, ibig sabihin pinarentahan mo para sakahan niya yung iyong lupain yon. So in that way, inquilinos na papasok dyan. A tenant who rented land from the priors and sublease the land to sharecroppers. Ngayon, sinakahan, okay, alam mo, kakilala mo, nagsaka doon sa lupain mo. So, doon sa pagsasaka mong yon ay, syempre, kumikita, ng malaki, pero ganito. Okay, kung ano man ang sinaka mo, syempre, mga palay, mga ganon, and let's say, for example, kahit mais, etc. And then, sa kasamas, paano naman siya pumasok yung kasamas? So, paano nga ba? Hindi ko rin alam. Pero ganito kasi ang idea. A kasamas or sharecropper, an individual who rented the land from an inquilino. Kumbaga, pasa-pasa lang yan. Okay? Yun ang idea niyan eh. Pasa-pasa lang. Kumbaga, pinakinabangan, okay, ni landlord, si inquilinos, then si inquilinos, pinakinabangan si kasamas, or tinatawag nating sharecropper. Okay? So, I hope you get the point naman kahit paano. Kahit medyo sumabit ng konti dun sa sa pag-aari ng lupa na ginawang sakahan. Okay. Doon sa lilipat na sa kasamas or sharecropper. Pero that's the point na parang idea ay pinapakinabangan mo, okay, para magamit mo, to make use of that land. Okay, that's the idea. I hope na nagigets yung point ko, ha? Okay, gusto natin ipaunawa sa inyo. So anyway, I think let's proceed to the next. Okay, Hacienda de Calamba dispute. Actually, first time ko lang ito mababasa. Oh, really? So this was the first time that I'm going to read this text. So basta ko lang ito nilagay sa PowerPoint. To be honest nga, kanina ko lang ginawa itong PowerPoint. So anyway, Hacienda de Calamba dispute. From the word itself, dispute, which means there is a conflict, something like that, or let's say argue, okay, about that. So we're talking about the land or the agrarian. So Hacienda de Calamba dispute. Okay, there's something within that land of Hacienda de Calamba. Okay, now the Hacienda de Calamba was originally owned by a Spaniard. Okay, who donated the land to Jesuit friar. Yan, meron din nga palang Jesuit friars. So, na hindi natin nabanggit kanina. Okay, basahin ko nga mabuti ito, no? Hacienda de Calamba was originally owned by a Spaniard who donated the land to Jesuit friars to allow them to permanently stay in the Jesuit monastery. So there is a condition. Okay, they were given or they are granting the land of Hacienda de Calamba to Jesuit friars, but they must stay in Jesuit monastery, or which allow them to permanently stay in the Jesuit monastery, something like that, So, however, since the Jesuits were expelled from the Philippines, the hacienda went to the possession of the Spanish colonial government. Actually, maraming maraming usap yung mga lupain na yan sa bansa. Nagpasa-pasa yan Okay, kung saan saan na sangay. Okay, so ayan. Spanish colonial government. In 1803, the land was sold to Don Clemente de Asanza. So there is this particular personality or person that is, of course, we assume that he was very rich, okay, because he was able to, you know, sold daw, the land was sold, or he was able to buy that hacienda de Calamba. So the land was sold to Don Clemente de Asanza, no? Anyway, after his death, it was eventually sold to the Dominicans. Ayan, yung Calamba, no? Hacienda de Calamba. So, buong hacienda dun sa Calamba. Okay? Or sabihin na natin, yung hacienda dun sa Calamba, syempre, sobrang laki nun, So, yun yung tinutukoy natin doon. Okay? So, after his death, it was eventually sold to the Dominicans, who claimed ownership of the hacienda until late 19th century. Okay? Yan. Kaya nga yan, dyan napapasok yung mga Dominican friars Okay? Sige, basahin ko nga mabuti. After his death, it was eventually sold to Dominicans friars, okay, who claimed ownership of hacienda until late 19th century. And Rizal's family became one of the principal inquilinos. So, as you have remember, the tree system, inquilinos. So, ibig sabihin, he is not the landowner, but he was principal inquilinos. Because sabi nga natin, the landowners is basically the friars. Okay? So, Rizal's family became one of the principal inquilinos of the hacienda. Kumbaga, aware naman kayo that the Rizal's family comes from the middle income class, something like that, or upper class. So, talagang siya, kumbaga may kaya. Sa ating katawagan ngayon, may kaya. Maaaring sabihin din naman natin kahit paano mayaman, pero siguro mas appropriate may kaya. Parang ganun. Okay? So, they rented one of the largest lease parcel of land measuring approximately 380 hectares. Malaki-laki na rin yun, 380 hectares. So, can you imagine 380 hectares? Kasi sabi nga natin, 1 hectares is equivalent to 10,000, ano, if I'm not mistaken. 10,000 meters. Ay, ang 100 meters na bahay, ang laki na. Ay, ang laki nun, 380 hectares. If I'm not mistaken, dun sa sinasabi ko, no? So, the main crop was sugarcane, since it was the most in demand in the world market then. The Rizal family got their income mainly from the land they rented. At least nagagamit nila yung kanilang land, ano? Pinagkakakitaan, yun ang maganda. So kapag ka may lupain ka, halimbawa, kayo bilang student, dumating sa point na naging successful kayo in terms of financial, ano? And you own a land, ano? And then, pwede mo siyang pagtayuan or pagrentahan, di ba? Kikita ka. Siyempre, yun ang ginagawa ng mga, ano, mga middle age na, o yung mga ano na talaga, alam ba, 40 plus na, 50 plus, na may pinamana sa kanila, di ba? So, yun ang kalimitan ko naririnig eh. So, yung mga bahay na iwan sa kanila, halimbawa ng kanilang pamilya, ng kanyang ina or ama, mga ganun, di ba? So, pinaupahan. Ay, may separate silang bahay. Parang ganun. So, anyway, however, when conflicts on land ownership in the Hacienda arose in 1883, the family evidently suffered. Actually, nagkaroon talaga yan ng tension eh. Para bang, because the, ano ba yan, Pasiano, okay, because Pasiano was not able to properly pay the required, ano, tribute or taxes. If I'm not mistaken, in that region or place or area, ano, dun sa Hacienda de Calamba, no, or part na property of Rizal's family sa Calamba, yan, pagkakatanda ko. So, ayun, parang ganun na nangyari. Alright? So, naparusahan or what, ano, tinanggalan ng karapatan na angkinin, okay, yung pag-aari na yon, okay, territory na yon, Hacienda, sa Calamba. I mean, part lang naman siya, syempre, part lang, kasi nga, sabi nga natin is priors yung talagang landlord, ano? So, kaya nakalagay dito, became one of the principal inquilinos of the hacienda. Inquilinos lang siya. O kumbaga, portion lang ng isang malaki. Okay? So, parang ganun. Kumbaga sa ano, retailer lang. Kumbaga sa market, retailer lang siya. Pero, meron siyang big na ano, contribution. Kasi siya ay principal inquilinos. Okay? So, big part pa rin siya kahit siya ay ano, parang retailer kumbaga sa market. Alright? So, I think that would be it, ano? Our discussion about agrarian relations and prior lands.